What's going on, Knick family? It's your boy, UnclefOOlio, and I'm back with another episode of the Kontroversy, ladies and gentlemen. As always, these episodes are sponsored by Nothing But Knicks. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Also, hit the notification bell to be notified of any new coverage we got for you. Queen's Court, Kontroversy, pregame, post-game coverage, shoot-around videos, the NBA report with Ron and John from Still Knick Fans. We got it all right here on NBK, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for all tuning in, for those out there in the chat. And those watching on all your different multiple platforms out there. Today, I got a special guest. It's Eru from the DieHardKnicksPodcast. And we're going to talk about some topics pertaining to the New York Knicks, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, should the Knicks tank, right? Should the Knicks tank, the remainder of games away? We have 12 games remaining. Had a win last night at the Garden against DC. We have 12 games left. Should the Knicks tank the rest of those games to try to get higher draft position? Secondly, we're going to talk about Miles McBride. He had a DNP coach's decision yesterday, okay? Can Thibodeau be able to find some minutes for him as the season is winding down? Why hasn't he found those minutes for Deuce McBride? And will Deuce get his opportunity here in New York? And the third and final thing that we're going to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier is closing in on the Knicks single-season three-point record. We have 12 games to go, so we're going to talk about that. Can he break that record? And what does this mean for Evan Fournier's legacy in New York? All right? So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get my man Eru in here, and we're going to break this thing down. Eru, what's good, my bro? How's it going?
What's good, man? I mean, MBK's changed since the last time I've been on here. You got different rooms. Everybody got their own show now. It's crazy, bro. I like it.
Yeah, Sim got us. We got a little our own thing going on over here in MBK. So we really appreciate it. I thank you for coming on, man. I've been trying to get you on for a while, and I'm glad that we here and we get a chance to talk about this stuff. And I'm pretty sure we're gonna do a lot of stuff on your show as well. With State, salute to State out there, because me and him pretty much don't agree on anything.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. That whenever we do that, that's gonna be good. I gotta be the mediator, man. Get guys to stay in their corners and stuff. But before we get started, man, I gotta say that I remember when you called in. I was on the panel when you called in, and everybody's cracking on you, and then you called back again. The next thing you know, you popped up on the channel and said, "Yo, that's the guy that called in," or whatever. So you go from the guy that's like most hated to having like your own podcast here, and you do a good job with it too, man. So I'm really excited and happy for you, man.
I appreciate it, man. It's people like you, like Sim, Freezy out there, and a lot of other channels out there that give you the motivation to keep doing this thing. And I still am the most hated guy, by the way. I don't think that's changed too much.
I don't get it,
but
I don't get why. But whatever.
I don't know. Maybe it's the way I talk. Maybe it's the way I, how I stick to my guns. I don't let nobody ruffle me up. You know what I'm saying? But thank you, man. I really appreciate that, man. You're one of the people that motivated me to do this. So really means a lot. But, man, let's skip all the pleasantries. We got all day to talk about that other stuff. We're going to talk about this Knicks season, man. Obviously, the Knicks have a 31-40 record, right? So they got is it 31-40? Yeah, I think it's 31-40. That's their record right now. 12 games remaining on the season, right? Or 11 games remaining on the season. Should the Knicks tank? I know I've been having this argument with people on Twitter, for the past couple of weeks or so. There's people out there that really want the Knicks to tank, tank for Jaden Ivey, tank for some of these players, these hot players that are coming out of the draft because the draft is weak and all of this stuff. Just tell me how you feel generally about the whole tanking thing, and do you think the Knicks should do it?
Well, to tell you the truth, I think they should. But, I mean, how do we with this roster? Because if you take away – I don't know who you take out. We already got rid of Kemba Walker and a couple other guys. But who do you want to bench? Guys want to bench Alec Burke and they want to bench Fournier. But if you put Grimes in there and if you start playing Deuce, and who else are you gonna play? Ryan Archicanato, whatever his name is. If you start putting those guys in, we actually might start winning. So I just don't get it. I just don't get the argument there. I'd rather always compete. If we go down on our sword, I'd rather go down on our sword and just let chance. Just take this. Just go ahead with chance. Because I mean, even if we don't tank or whatever, we still could get the first pick. It depends on the luck of the draw.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's been my position all along, right? And by the way, guys, the Knicks are 30-40. They have 12 games remaining. I know I said 31-40, something like that. It's all the same thing to me. But the Knicks are 30-40. That's their record right now, and they have 12 games remaining to make it a full 82-game season. But I agree with you, and I don't understand this notion of tanking. First and foremost, I don't think it's going to happen. Right. I don't think the players in that locker room or Thibs or the organization is intentionally going out there to lose games. Right. I just don't think that's what's going on. I don't think that's in their DNA. I'm not going to go up to a player like RJ Barrett and say, I need you to lose these games for me so we can go out and get Jaden Ivey, who could potentially take your spot. or take someone else's spot, or take Cam Reddish's spot, or Grimes, or something like that, right? So I'm not all for that. And then I'm listening to the go ahead.
Well, one thing with that, recently, they have like this video where RJ's bringing the guys together and talking to them. That says the point right there. These guys care about winning. They don't care about losing. They're not trying to lose these games, so they're gonna compete every night. And if you're gonna cheer, oh, look at RJ being a leader, then do you want us to win or not? What the hell are you talking about?
Right.
You want us to tank or not? You can't have it both ways with that. Scenario.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you on that, and I just don't understand some of these arguments that we hear. Like, well, if the Knicks lose so many ball games, they'll have a better odds of landing a blue chipper. Well, there's blue chippers that fall outside the top 5 all the time, right? I know me and State are going to talk about this at length, right? Ad nauseum, we're going to talk about this. But you look at players like Giannis, you look at players like Donovan Mitchell, you look at players like Devin Booker. They were drafted outside the top 10, right? Phoenix took Devin Booker the same year the Knicks took KP, Porzingis, that we've seen last night. Porzingis went 4 and Devin Booker went 13, right? So you still have to choose the right guy. No matter where you fall in the draft, you still have to be able to choose that guy and develop that guy, develop your blue chip piece, right? So I just don't understand this. There's no doubt Jaden Ivey has talent. I'm not disrespecting him. I'm not disrespecting Jabari Smith or Chet Holmgren or any of these guys that are projected, Paolo that's projected to go top 5. But there is a lot of players that come in the NBA nowadays that get drafted, between the 10, 20 range or even in the 20s, that become blue chip guys that are leaders in the NBA. If you look at the All-Star game, I threw out a stat before on one of the previous shows about the amount of people that were drafted outside the top 10 and in the second round, and Fred VanVleet undrafted, that made the All-Star team, that are the number 1 or number 2 guys on that team. So I still feel like you can go out and get a guy that way. Tanking to me doesn't work. The Knicks have tried it for years. And it just hasn't worked. So I'm not on board with that. And salute to State of the Knicks podcast. I know he's in the chat going crazy right now.
Yeah, he wants in on this, man. He wish he can get in on this, but we'll get it next time.
Yeah. Well, and me and State. We'll have our time on Die Hard Knicks, ladies and gentlemen. If you look in the description of this video, there's a link to the Die Hard Knicks channel right in the description of this video. So stay tuned for that. We are going to set it up to where myself and State, we're going to be on the Die Hard Knicks channel, and we're going to be going at it talking about this very.
Did he just cut himself off the show? Uh-oh.
Was that me?
Yeah, that was you, man.
I'm sorry, everyone. I don't know what happened just now. But yeah, stay tuned for that. With me and State are going to debate this issue a lot. Let me highlight some of these comments in the chat. David L says, we are not taking ever too much money to be petty. Okay, I agree. Salute. I am Jarrell. Jarrell, what's up, my man? I got to get you on here one of these days, too. We're going to link up. We're going to get it going.
Yeah, Jarrell,
yeah. Geraldine MacGyver, salute. Hewlett Samuel, salute. Andre Bryan, he says, should they tank? No. The Knicks might need to get a reward in the lottery trying to win games at this point. Okay. Hawkeye said Fournier's growing on him. We're going to talk about Fournier. All right. David L says, keep Evan. He can be a Seth Curry. I don't know about that, but okay. Andre Bryan says, Josh, his unpopular opinion is what makes him stand out. I guess people be coming at my neck. I got cursed out so many times over the past week or so over the stuff that I was saying about,
I don't get it, man. Guys go extra when they talk about you. I don't get it. If they ever saw you in person, you look like freaking Lawrence Taylor, from the pictures that I see. I think guys need to calm it down a little bit, man. The big teddy bear here.
There's only one Lawrence Taylor. That is not me. Ola Sambo says, peace, Josh and MBK family. Let me get a couple more in here. Salute to Julian Tran. He says, at the stage in the season is lost. Might as well try and get a top 5 pick while we suck. But for what? What are we going for a top 5 pick for? You can draft a blue chipper outside the top 5. That's the part that I'm trying to get across to, across to everybody.
Kobe Bryant was drafted, 14, and he was traded for Vlade Divac out of all people. You know what I'm saying? So anything can happen. Not saying that the Knicks are going to get Kobe Bryant or whatever, but you can still get talent. There's so many different ways to get talent, and we have excess talent that we could trade the same way that the other teams do it, man. So it is what it is.
State says he get cursed out every day. It comes with the territory. Yeah, listen, I put a tweet up. It was in regards to the Knicks not tanking. Right. And then I think it got 800 likes or something like that. And but the people were liking it. But in the comments, I was just getting cursed out. You're dumb. You're stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know basketball. And I just was like, okay. And that's been happening like the past few weeks or so. Ira, what do you think? What do you think about this new thing with Knicks Twitter in regards to like people coming at each other and getting personal because they don't have an opinion that they people agree with? What do you think about that?
To tell you the truth, I can't stand it because I didn't get into this to argue with people all day long. I got into it to meet people like you. I don't know you for nothing. I met you on the internet, never met you in person, but I can't wait to hug you, man. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Slim and all these guys. When I first met Slim, I felt like I met family. So to add to it, like on Twitter, I've been seeing guys meeting up with each other, which is good. I wish I
Right.
can get involved in that, but I'm always working. Even today, I left work early today, so this just happened by chance to get on the show. But I'm in it for the community. I'm in it to get to rally everybody, to be the anti ESPN, that type of thing. Because we have to control our own narrative. That's what really about with this whole thing. So when I see people arguing and stuff, or just just for like the RJ argument for example, people love RJ, but you can't say, well, RJ had a bad game. Oh, but he's only 21. How you had a? But then it gets crazy, and then people start talking about the way you look and how stupid you are, and then they start digging. Like it turns into like a rap battle. Like you start battling. Hey yo, instead they start doing that stuff, man. I mean, come on, man. Like
Yeah, it's insane. It's like you talk about Donald Trump, like you can't tell a Trump supporter anything. Like it's just like, what? No, not my Trump. Trump didn't do it. Like
Yeah.
it's like one, and I think that's the thing for me. Like when I first started doing this, and I made an opinion about RJ Barrett that I had about him potentially going to play with the bench guys. So I thought he played better, and him not being that dude or whatever. And everyone was like, whoa! It was like I was talking about somebody's mama or something, and I was like, wow, like And listen. If I need to fall on that sword, I guess I will, right? I might rooting for the kid to lose. He's one of us. You know what I mean? If he doesn't do well, the Knicks don't do well. So I'm not rooting for that. I have nothing personal against RJ Barrett. I just set my opinion. And RJ Barrett wasn't playing the way he's playing right now. He wasn't playing like this earlier in the season and the beginning of his career. He just wasn't. He wasn't this aggressive. He wasn't taking guys off the dribble, setting up his own shot. He wasn't doing any of this stuff. He had to develop into that, right? So, I still stand by what the hell I said. Obviously he's definitely proved me wrong in a lot of different ways, and I'm comfortable with that. It's perfectly fine. But I think that's where a lot of people start coming at my neck, going crazy. Thing
about that take, I agreed with it because at the time, he wasn't playing well, so maybe him playing with the second unit might have took a little pressure off him. I agree with the take. So I mean, you got to call it how you see it and how it's happening, not what's going to happen in your imagination. Because I mean, I don't know how we didn't learn that with Frank Ntilikina. Shout out to Mr. Jarrell. That's Candyman right there, Frank Ntilikina. People say, "Oh, he's gonna be this. He has the defense, the long arms. Wait till he gets to this. Wait till this." I mean, all that happened 4 years later. Now he's on a different team, and he's getting benched worse over there in Dallas, man. So, I don't know. You have to call the game for what you see and not in your imagination. That's my standpoint on that.
Yeah, people call me crazy all the time. Andre Bryant says Josh hate is a step behind Thibs and Randall hate amongst the fans. Okay. Amar Fuller says tanking is not the answer. We can find talent in the draft and we can make moves. I absolutely agree 100%. I am Jarrell said it's all love at the end of the day. Spread love. That's it. That's all we got to do out here. Pudge Knight says Trump 2024. Get this nonsense out of here. Cully, salute to my man Cully. He said, won't say they should tank, but they should definitely play the youngins and see what they have. If they lose playing the youngins, at least you know what you got and you can score on the lottery. If they win, it's a win-win. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Let's keep it here on Cully because the next topic that we're going to talk about is Deuce McBride. Why can't Deuce McBride get minutes? I know he was getting minutes before last game for like the past 5 games or so. He was getting his minutes and they're getting his feet wet, getting out there. Wasn't really scoring a lot, wasn't doing anything like that, but he was playing some tough defense, eating some fouls, being that guy, still trying to find his way. So what do you think about Deuce McBride and why do you think he can't get any minutes right now?
Well, I mean, I believe in what Tom Thibodeau said. You have to earn your minutes in practice and that type of thing. But he already, I mean, I'm going to talk about training camp. I've been saying that a lot in the podcast. During the training camp, Rose and Walker, these guys were bigging him up. They were saying, yo, this kid Deuce is really good. Especially Rose. Rose really was talking up his game. And then Walker was giving him a little shade, like, yeah, he's all right. He's pretty good. That means that Deuce is kicking his behind in practice.
Right.
So from the beginning, I wish that the Knicks would have really tried to implement him into what they were doing, especially when Walker wasn't playing well. Then he got benched. So what was the answer? Put Burks in and then further push the young guys back. That was a bad decision by Tom Thibodeau. And I think we're just plagued by those bad decisions by Tom Thibodeau. Developing, yes, I agree. You need to earn your minutes. But he goes to the G League and he destroys them down there. You know, so what else can the kid do? So that could kill the kid's confidence too, because he's like, "Yo, how much more can I do?" And now you're putting me in here only because you need me to be in there, and that doesn't feel good. You know, so you have to be very careful on how you manage personalities and stuff like that. So I think that's a very important aspect in coaching too. So I think Tom Thibodeau's kind of missing the ball a little bit in that regard. So I mean, as far as Deuce McBride, if it was up to me, like, but at this point of the season, he should be starting. There's no reason why that Burks should be starting at point guard. In my opinion, just to keep a point guard action going rather than having a shooting guard play point guard. You feel me?
Okay, so I agree with you on most of everything you said, but the part where I disagree is the part where you said Thibs is not managing, or you alluded to Thibs not managing the personalities well. And I don't agree with that. I don't think that has anything to do with it from the aspect of the guys are still playing hard for Thibs. I don't think there's any like rebellion in the locker room. I think that Kemba thing caused rebellion initially, but for the most part, I don't think there's any rebellion in the locker room. I think the rookies that the fans are clamoring are not playing, are playing, and they're not feeling some type of way about Thibs not playing the minutes. I think they all understand that in the NBA, you have to earn your spot, and that their time will come. Eventually, their time will come. But I think what's happening right now, fans are kind of looking at the Knicks, their record during the course of their season, and they're asking the question, why haven't the kids played more? To me, the kids have played a lot. And Thibs made a statement that I think was very controversial, but I agree with him. He said no one in the NBA plays the kids more than the Knicks. And I look at that, not in a literal sense, but if you look at it, you look across the NBA, the Knicks, their average age of their roster is right around league average at around 26 years old, 26.1, years old or whatever. That's right at league average, right in the middle. There's no team that's around the same age as the Knicks or a little bit older than the Knicks that plays the young kids more than them. There isn't just one, you know what I'm saying? And shout out to my man JD. I know he was on Knicks Fan TV, and his take is he totally disagrees with me on his take. But his take is he feels like Thibs has to play these guys based off of circumstance rather than a concerted effort to play the young kids. And my response to that is that's just the way it goes in the NBA. Unless you're like a guy coming out of college that is like highly, highly touted, you can start from day one. Unless you're that guy, for the most part, you're going to be on the bench. Coming out the gate, and you have to earn your spot. It takes someone getting hurt in front of you for you to get major minutes and to prove that you belong there. That happens in the NBA with rookies all the time. So I just think this notion that, because Thibs has to play the kids and he's playing them now, that doesn't show that the Knicks are not playing the kids. To me, I don't agree with that. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I don't agree with that either. But you made that statement about the rebellion. I don't think it's a rebellion thing. I just think it's like, it's like almost like a dog. Not to make that reference, but I mean, like a dog, you could punch a dog, kick a dog, and if they love you, they're gonna keep coming to you. They're gonna keep bringing you your slippers. They're gonna be loyal to you. They'll kill for you, all that type of stuff. So I feel like the young guys, they looking at him like that. Like anything Tom Thibodeau said, they'll do it. But Tom Thibodeau was like punching them in the nose and hitting them in the head with the newspaper, even when they're playing hard. You know what I'm saying? Like Sims. Like, I mean, there was one play, it was a big play where Tom Thibodeau's voice came on the TV where he was yelling at Sims because Sims didn't come up to make a pick. But I mean, that play was over. They still ran the second option in that play. And then Sims runs the whole length of the court and still almost makes a defensive stop on the other end. So then when they call a timeout, right, he immediately just starts yelling at Sims. Like, I mean, you can't like break him down like that. The kid ran full length of the court. At least say something to him, but don't emasculate him in front of everybody. That's what I'm talking about. Like
I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's what it is. I don't think it's to that level. I mean, I see what you're saying, but
yeah.
I think as a coach, and as a coach, you have to be able to understand the personalities that you can do that to, right? I think Jericho Sims, him being quiet, his personality, like Thibs can do that with him, right? But he can't do that with a player. Let's say Randall at the same age. He can't do that with Randall. You get a different reaction. You
Why
have
can't
to.
you do it with Randall?
No, but I'm saying that's not a good thing or a bad thing. I'm saying some players you have to toe that line with, and you have to do that with to get the most out of them. Some players are shut down, right? Like you said, like you're worried about Sims potentially shutting down and blocking everything Thibs has to say off. And I'm saying Sims can take that kind of punishment. I think that's good for him, right? But other players, it's not good. That it starts to become friction and it just doesn't work. As a coach, you have to be able to know the players you have and the personnel you have and be able to coach them accordingly to who they are. Some people are saying, well, you're giving Randall a pass. It's not giving Randall a pass. It's just understanding how to get the most out of that player. And I think a lot of Knicks fans don't understand that. All they see is Thibs yelling at Sims, for making one stupid mistake, or yelling at Obi for making a dumb mistake out there. but looking at Randle saying that he's not disciplining Randle the same way. Perhaps he's not, but maybe you have to do that in order to get the most out of a certain type of player. You can't treat every player the same, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to, as a coach, you have to manage personalities. You just have to know your players in order to coach them properly. But a lot of fans are upset, and it's misguided. It's misguided anger. But
Right.
they'll be
Right.
upset. Let's say if Randall comes down and Randall just runs right into three defenders, bam. He does it. I mean, he does it a million times a game. But Tom Thibodeau never says nothing to him. Like at least the same way that he chastised Sims or other players or take them out, he can at least say something to Randall. But the thing about it, if he did, you saw Randall slap the computer out, almost slap the computer out the assistant coach hand. What's he gonna do to Tom Thibodeau? He gonna duck and like start doing 52 blocks on him and stuff.
left hook to the jaw, straight up left hook to the jaw.
Yeah, so I mean, so you're right about that, man. So he knows who he's talking to, so he can't really talk to certain plays like that.
Yeah, and I think it's just that's just life. I just think that's life. As a supervisor, you have to treat people a certain, or you have to understand the people you have under you, and you have to understand how to deal with them to get the most out of them. And how would it look if Thibodeau is riffing with Julius Randle, the one of the best players on the team? Like, how is that productive for the team? How is that productive for anyone? You know what I'm saying? So I just think people need to understand that part of it. But and going back to Deuce McBride, I think Deuce McBride will get his time at some point, right? We've seen what he's been doing in the G League, right? And it's going to take injuries and opportunities for him to make the most out of in order for him to show that he belongs. And I just think that's the reality of almost every rookie in the NBA. Outside of these blue chippers that get drafted top 10 and get in the starting lineup right away, most rookies, they come off the bench and it takes injuries. Look at Golden State. They got Kuminga and Moody, right? They have Iguodala. Iguodala was hurt for most of the season. So has Draymond Green. And that's how Kuminga and Moody are getting their opportunities, right? And then also Klay Thompson just coming back, right? So it takes injury. It takes circumstance. You have to be victim of the circumstantial or whatever, in order for your guys to play, right? So it's not the Knicks not necessarily pushing young kids out there and going with a full-on youth movement. It's about the message that Tom Thibodeau is sending. You have to earn your spot. I get it. People are frustrated with Burks. He does not need to be a point guard. He's played some, but not as a starting point guard. I totally agree with that. I'm not defending that. But the Knicks kind of dropped the ball in the offseason going after Kemba Walker and Derrick Rose and all that stuff. So, they kind of are stuck in this position right now. And I think Deuce eventually will get his time. So let me highlight some of these comments. Go ahead, Ebro. You want to say something?
Well, I was just going to mention Golden State Warriors is actually a good example because you mentioned Klay Thompson. They have this guy Damian Lee. What's the other guy? Jordan Poole. These guys. Last year when they were hurt and stuff, these guys got the opportunity to play. They held it down this year until Klay came in. And is it Poole? Poole is the one that's scoring all these points now, right?
Poole is the one. He got drafted in RJ's draft, so this is his third year in the NBA.
Yes. So he's been getting 20s and 30s like the last 10 games. So he's really kicking ass out there. So I mean, it's like that. But my thing with Deuce is that when he gets his minutes, he gotta act like he's never gonna play basketball again.
Right.
Iverson always says that. He says, "Listen, you got to play every game like it's your last," and that's dead ass as far as basketball players, because there's always going to be another guy waiting to come in his game. Shout out to my man Ryan. If he gets an opportunity, I don't think that he's gonna I mean, Ryan, that's another thing with Tom. Tom got Ryan standing in the corner. He's a point guard, man. I just don't. It's a lot of things going on with this, man.
Yeah. And the whole thing with the point guard, and before I get to some of these comments, the whole thing with the point guard, I think Knicks fans were so hungry for a point guard that we think that if we just take any point guard, we can slide him in there and I think and think that it's going to work. To me, we have to have the right point guard. And, I'm thinking about a point guard who doesn't need to have the ball in their hands a lot. I'm thinking of a point guard that is not going to take shots and, possessions away from Randall and RJ or Cam and RJ, whatever pairing you want. Because if you have a ball dominant guy in there, to me, I just don't think that's going to work. That's why I'm not the biggest fan of the Knicks drafting a Jaden Ivey right now with Randall and with RJ on the team and with Cam Reddish, because it's only one basketball to go around. However, you look at someone like a Brunson, to me, he doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective. He'll bring the ball up the floor. He'll give it to RJ, give it to Randall, have them run the plays, and then he'll be like a secondary ball handler off of them. To me, I think that makes the most sense for this team right now. But a guy like Jaden Ivey, ball dominant. A guy like SGA, ball dominant. A guy like De'Aaron Fox, ball dominant. So that's where I think those problems can kind of arise. No doubt, they're nice. They can ball, they can hoop. You know what I'm saying? De'Aaron Fox, really good player. Ivy's going to be really good in the NBA. But who gets the ball? How do you differentiate those, the ball handling responsibilities? If you look at Chicago, Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan both have 30% usage rates, right? Their point guard is someone like Alonzo Ball. He doesn't need to have the ball in his hands to be effective, right? He goes out there, plays defense, knock down some shots, knock down some threes. He can ball handle if he needs to, but he's not going to dominate the ball. And that's the reason why they have those two guys dominating the basketball. And that's why it's worked for them. And that's why they severely miss him.
Yeah, absolutely agree with everything you said. Yep.
All right. Building Root says not even OKC. OKC, one of the youngest teams in the NBA. You can't really compare them to the Knicks because almost every player on their roster is young, under 24 years old, right? So they have to play their young guys. That's all they have, right? The Knicks in a different situation. Same with
the young guys, though. They got too many young guys. A lot of those guys need minutes, and nobody's getting the heavy minutes over there. They all deserve it.
And that's where this whole thing of people earning their minutes comes from. That's why I don't have an issue with Thibs saying something like that. Even if he's doing it just in theory or saying that to the young kids to make sure that they understand that nothing's given. Like you have to earn it. And then in practice and practicality, you go ahead and throw him out there because the Knicks are already, mathematically eliminated. But the message that he's sending across, I have no problem with that message at all. Yeah. Sincere the Genius says, I think the rookies understand that this year is not the year. I'm predicting Deuce and Grimes are going to get way more minutes next season. I'm with you, Sincere. I'm with you. I totally agree. Amal Fuller says McBride will get his burn either with this team or another team. Okay. Who is this? This is Oroku Saki says, Burks is out his role. You think Thibs or Burks want to do that? Young players aren't ready. Y'all ain't getting minutes. Grimes got his because he's good. And he also earned it. He also came on the floor as knocking down shots and playing defense. He earned it. That is a Thibs kind of player. He said he loved Quentin Grimes, right? But people are going to tell you, right, they're going to make it seem like, oh, it was because Rose got hurt. That's the reason why Grimes got his minutes. Okay, and he came in and earned his minutes. And now even when Rose coming back, Grimes ain't getting taken out the rotation. You seen what happened yesterday?
Yeah. I don't think that's the real Orokusaki. I'm if I'm not mistaken, I don't think that's the real one. I just
you don't think that's the real one? No. Oh, okay. Krillian's Underlow says Foolio's weird take will take its biggest L this offseason with a full RJ rebuild. Okay, whatever that's supposed to mean. Push Nice says he is a rookie. Push Nice says he does that to all the rookies. I think all coaches do this with rookies. No one is actively in the beginning of the season saying, I'm going to play rookies for the whole entire season unless they have to, unless they have to put it out there because that's all that's on the roster. Chaotic Nick says, so sad there's a rift amongst Knicks fans about a very bad team discussing who should be playing at this point in the season. Made no adjustments when the season mattered, so now it's a no-brainer. So here's my response to this one. People are also saying with this whole tank, going back to the tank thing a little bit, they say that because the Knicks are out of it and they're not going to win a championship this season, that this is the time to play the rookies. But my response to that is, in the beginning of the season, you knew the Knicks weren't going to win a championship. So why now? Why use that argument and throw that argument out there now? Everyone was hyped for when we first got Evan Fournier, right? But no one was saying that back then. So the whole thing about championship or bust, to me, just doesn't make any sense. It's either championship or tank. No, that makes no sense at all. You have to literally, that's why you play the games during the season. That's the reason why we have 82-game regular seasons, right? What is the purpose of an 82-game regular season? To develop your guys and to try to win every game you can and teach players how to win in the NBA.
Yeah, so that's why we got 30 teams, why we got all these G League teams and all these other affiliates all around the world and stuff like that. Basketball, I mean, it can't be about that. It can't be just always lose to get the lottery. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's like working and then put your whole paycheck into the lottery, like hoping that you flip your money and then you lose it. Either you win or you lose. I mean, that's just like a warped way of thinking, in my opinion, man.
Yeah, I don't get that at all. White Falcon says, Cully, what's Josh on today? Henny. I don't drink Henny at all. I don't do that. That was
I'm sober too, man. I'm drinking this shit.
10 years ago. I don't drink any anymore. And Demo B says Pop did it with Tim Duncan. Tom Thibodeau is not Greg Popovich, man. He's not Greg Popovich. He's Tom Thibodeau. He's different.
But what did Pop do though? They had injuries and stuff like that. I think David Robinson was hurt. So I mean they had no choice but to do that because they were all diminished.
No. I think Demo B is talking about the way Popovich handles his players, right? The way like Pop will scold Tim Duncan in front of the whole, in front of the whole team. Right? Or Ginobili or Tony Parker yell at him or Bowen or whoever, all these guys that they had. And that goes to show you the type of player that Tim Duncan is. Tim Duncan can take that. He has respect enough for Popovich that he can take that, right? That he can be coached, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Tim Duncan is a Hall of Fame player. That's what makes them such a great matchup. That's why they have 5 championships together, right?
Well,
Tom
I thought
Thibodeau is
you
not
were saying.
Tim.
No, I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying Tom Thibodeau is not Popovich, and Tim Duncan is not, or Julius Randle is not Tim Duncan.
Okay. Well, I was assuming that he was talking about, how they got Tim Duncan. They got Tim Duncan through tanking. But they tanked because they had no choice. They had lost all their players, due to injury and stuff like that. So, they had no choice but to do that. They were playing a lot of people you never heard of the year before they got Tim Duncan, you know?
Yeah, but what does tanking mean though? What does tanking mean? Because tanking to me is not just losing games. Anybody can lose games. The Knicks lost 40 games this season, right? But they weren't tanking, right? Tanking is intentionally going out there to lose basketball games or doing something that will literally cost yourself basketball games in order to improve your draft position, right? So I don't know. I don't know if the Spurs were doing that back in 1990, whenever Duncan was drafted. I don't know if they were doing that back then. I just know they weren't a good team and they lost games because they just weren't good.
Well, when you can tank if your talent is diminished. Say like Portland. Portland should be trying to tank because they lost all their players. They have none of the starters that they started the year with. So now it's like, just put whoever out there and then just see what happens. Keep losing games, whatever. But I mean, if the Knicks do that, like the Knicks are different because if we play the guys that everybody wants them to play, we might actually still win. So it's a whole different scenario, and you can't just tell Julius Randle to go sit in the back. Like we already talked about already. You can't just do that to the guy. They have so much pride and they actually are still playing hard for Tom Thibodeau. So it's hard
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't understand the whole tanking narrative. Kept Giggle says the Spurs won a chip before Tim Duncan was there. No,
No,
they
you
didn't.
didn't.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
Kept Giggles, you might want to go back and I don't even throw you out there like that, but you might want to go back and check your, check what yeah. IQJ says, imagine losing games on purpose for a coin toss and they end up striking out. That just sounds like the definition of insanity. And the Knicks have done this. Even in the Zion draft, we had the worst record in the NBA that the season prior, right? And we ended up with the number 3 pick instead of number 1. Now, I know Knicks fans were like, see, we got RJ out of it. We got RJ out of it. But no one was talking about RJ Barrett before. Then everyone wanted Zion. Tank for Zion. Yeah. Everyone wanted Zion, KD, and Kyrie on the Knicks. Let's just keep it real. Let's keep it a stack. All right? No one was talking about RJ Barrett. And RJ Barrett, even before this season, RJ Barrett wasn't Zion and he wasn't Ja Morant. He wasn't. It was the draft order went 1, 2, 3. That's exactly how it was before coming into this season. And I think a healthy Zion is still going to be that way. RJ Barrett is going to be a good player in this league, but he's not those first 2 guys, right?
Well, if I could mention the Golden State thing, when Steph Curry was drafted, everybody keeps talking about the Knicks messed up. They should have tanked or whatever. But everyone forgets that Minnesota before them took Johnny Flynn and freaking Rubio back to back. Took them back to back, and then before the draft was over, they drafted 5 point guards. So they were smoking crack over there. That dude, Khan, that guy Khan, he's the one that needs to be the culprit of that year because it wasn't because the Knicks didn't tank. The dude took 2 top point guards back to back. So I mean, let's say Minnesota would have just took Johnny Flynn because they drafted Johnny Flynn first. If they drafted, yeah, right. If they drafted Johnny
Syracuse, Johnny Flynn, Syracuse, right? Syracuse,
yeah.
Johnny Flynn. Yep,
yes.
Yep. Okay.
So if they drafted him and then drafted somebody else, to pair with him rather than another point guard, then the Knicks would have had their choice between Rubio and Steph Curry. So I think the Knicks got shocked in the war room. They didn't know what the hell was going on. It was like, Jordan Hill. You know what I'm saying? They were stuck.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, again, and guess what? You know how many times the Knicks have had opportunities to draft guys, whether it be top 10 or whatever, and they simply just drafted the wrong guy. We talk all the time about Obi right now. The Knicks should have never drafted Obi. Knicks had the number 8 pick in the draft, and there was players that came after him, point guards, Halliburton, Denny Avdia was drafted after Obi Toppin, right? What if we'd have had one of those guys, right? So the Knicks had an opportunity to get a potential blue chipper and just didn't do it. Look at Kevin Knox. The Kevin Knox draft. We could have had Bridges, any one of the Bridges kids. The Frank Ntilikina draft. We could have had Donovan Mitchell, right? The Kristaps Porzingis draft. We could have had Devin Booker. And I made this example to Sim and Queen a few shows ago. Back in 1979 or 78, whatever it was. Larry freaking Bird. Larry Bird. We drafted Michael Ray Richardson. Was a really good Knick for some years, but we could have drafted Larry freaking Bird. Have him spend one more year in college or whatever, and then we could have had Larry Bird in New York.
Yeah, it's incredible, man. the Knicks make mistakes, but other teams make mistakes too. So we got to rely on other guys to draft properly. Like for instance, like even to add the Obi Toppin draft, I thought Cleveland should have drafted Obi Toppin. They needed a big man at the time. They went OD years later, and they got their big man through signing and through drafting the following year. But I mean, in my opinion, they should have got Obi Toppin instead of drafting the guy they drafted, and then maybe the Knicks would have drafted
Or
properly.
Chicago. Chicago took Patrick Williams because Obi was projected to go top 5. And I
Right.
didn't think Patrick Williams was going to go that high, but he went and they left Obi for the Knicks to take him. So
I forgot about Patrick Williams. You're right about that. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, listen, you just have to draft the right guy. That's the reason why the whole tanking thing doesn't make sense. And I just hope Knicks fans finally, get this thing out their head. I get it. You want Jaden Ivey. Heck, the Knicks got so many draft picks and assets they can trade up to go get Jaden Ivey. That's also a possibility if we need to. Like, you know what I mean? So the Knicks are in a good spot. I just don't, people are just tripping right now. But Eru, last question that I want to talk about. We're going to talk about Evan Fournier. So Evan Fournier is on the brink of tying and potentially breaking the New York Knicks single season 3-pointers made record that was, done by John Starks, 217 3-pointers that he set in the 94-95 season. Knicks are obviously contenders in the middle of the heap that season. John Starks, legendary Knick. And Evan Fournier is on the brink of breaking that. Right now, he has 206 3-pointers. He needs 11 to tie, 12 to break the record with 12 games to go. Does Evan Fournier break this record?
I think he does, and if he does, the Knicks fans are going to be sick. They're going to be sick. I mean, geez, man. I mean, he's a good 3-point shooter. I mean, he's had a lot of trials and tribulations this year. In the beginning of the year, I felt like he just I feel like it was a mixture of Tom Thibodeau messing him up and him getting in his own head, trying to fit in with Julius and the guys and stuff. So I think now we're seeing the Fournier that we should have gotten in the beginning of the year. So I mean, whatever, but a shooter's going to shoot, and in the league now where everybody shoots 3-pointers, it's only a matter of time before somebody broke that record, man. So it's gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's gonna happen too. Listen, Evan Fournier was very, very inconsistent at the beginning of the season, and then he had that game against Boston where he was shooting lights out. I think he had like 30-something points, couldn't miss a 3-point shot. They tried to throw everybody at him, he couldn't miss. And I personally feel like the Knicks should use Evan Fournier in that role, off the dribble handoffs, kick it out to Evan Fournier, have him do that little step back 3 that he normally does. I think that's his shot, right? That needs to be his role in the offense, right? And that's the reason why I think he should still be starting. I don't want to bench Evan Fournier. Now, obviously, after games that he doesn't shoot that well, Knicks fans are going to want to get rid of him and do all of that. But if Evan Fournier is knocking down his shots, you have a guy that can shoot 3-pointers that is playing next to RJ Barrett, who can be up and down with his 3-point shot, and Randall, who can be up and down with his 3-point shot, right? I know people are going to knock Fournier because of his defense, the lack thereof, right? People are going to want Quentin Grimes to eventually take over that spot too. I do as well because I like Quentin Grimes. But it's hard for me to say that you got to bench Evan Fournier or get him out of here because he's knocking. We paid him to come in here and knock down threes, and he's been doing that this season. So people want to complain about him being a little bit older. Or why is he getting minutes over this guy, that guy? He's telling you why right now. The 3-pointers is going to break that record. I think no question about that. I think he probably break it within the next 3 or 4 games or so. If he averages like 4 3-pointers a game or something like that, I think that's definitely possible for him. But if he does break this record, Eru, what is his legacy going to be? Because people are not happy with this season, the way it's turned out. They think Evan Fournier is overpaid and he's about to break a record of a beloved Knick from the 90s. So what do you think his legacy is going to be once he breaks this record?
I don't know. His legacy is going to stand. If he stays long, if we don't trade him, and then we get other people involved, and and then we can figure out a way to make it all work. I think that's where his legacy would be. In my opinion, I think we should keep Fournier. I'm not one of those guys that say that we need to get rid of him. I mean, he obviously is playing good because he's about to break this record, and so he has value to the team. So there's a way that we can take advantage of that. Can we get better? Of course we can get better, but I think we can get better in other ways. So I mean, if he stays long term, and we eventually get to where we want to get to, where like becoming like a perennial playoff team and possibly contender. At some point, if we could continue to grind these gears and stuff. I think that would be his legacy. It would be great to see the Knicks win and have Fournier doing that he does, and various other stuff too, man. So that's what I think his legacy would be.
One argument that you heard constantly throughout the season, for all the RJ, like the diehard RJ Barretteers or whatever, is that The Knicks went out, and this is something I heard State say. The Knicks went out. How do you go out and get someone like Evan Fournier to play next to R.J. Barrett? Evan Fournier is overpaid, this, and that. Evan Fournier is knocking down this three-point shot. That's exactly the player you need to be playing next to R.J. Barrett, for R.J. Barrett to go penetrate with and have a two-man game with, to give Fournier the ball, knock down some three-point shots. He's the perfect guy to play next to him, in my opinion, right? Doesn't need the basketball in his hands. Right, even though he's starting to, dribble, take people off the dribble a little bit, do a little floater, he doesn't need the basketball in his hands. He's the perfect guy to be right there. So I think, people, especially the RJ argument, you move RJ to the three, so he can, so Fournier can play the two. RJ is supposed to be playing the two. Like, to me, it doesn't matter. RJ Barrett's doing everything he's doing right now at the three rather than at the two. So it doesn't matter. I don't think RJ Barrett cares about that. Right. So, I just think people need to go away from that argument a little bit.
Well, I want to talk about DeRozan, man, because everybody hindsight 2020. Oh, we should have just gave the money to DeRozan. DeRozan didn't want to.
I wanted DeRozan, no doubt about it.
But, DeRozan didn't want to come here though, because I think he was like one of the first people signed early on, or whatever in the beginning of the thing. So I think that was like they already had that set up in Chicago. But the thing is, like, if DeRozan came here, because a lot of people was against it. If DeRozan came here, people were saying that DeRozan was going to take shots away from RJ. They're the same player. Where did they shoot? And this, that, and the other. Now hindsight is 2020. They say, oh, we should have got DeRozan and this, that, and the other. That drives me crazy too. Because everyone likes to screen. That's another thing too on Twitter. We were talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
People like to screenshot conversations that you had like 4 years ago to prove a point that you're making today. It's like, come on, guys. You guys are nuts, man. You guys are really nuts with that.
Yeah, shout out to State. He did that to me like a couple days ago. You still wanna put RJ Barrett on the bench or something? I was like, bro, that was like 2 years ago, man. Like, you tripping. What's going on with you? Let me highlight some of these comments. Funky Goose World, he says, this draft is like America, inflated in the dumpster fire. If we get a high pick, trade it and package it to get someone to help us. Okay, I don't know about that. I don't know about it being a complete dumpster fire. You can find a lot of talent in the draft. The Knicks have been doing great the past 3 years in regards to drafting. Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes late in the draft, Miles McBride, second-round pick. So we've been doing pretty decent at it. So I think we're building through the draft. The Knicks told you that they were going to build through the draft. They got a coach in here that said they're going to continue to build through the draft until a superstar becomes available. And that's what they're doing. And people all of a sudden have a problem with that because now they gave you a direction. Stafford Don salute. He says, sick for what? But it's New York fans, so it's ridiculous. Okay. Alawai said Fournier can't guard a fire hydrant. I don't think he could either. No, I don't think he could either. But hey, not every player is perfect, right?
Yeah, Fournier just got some steals the other night and said, oh man, if he continues to play with Tom Thibodeau, he'll start doing it. Fournier has a whole NBA career. This is not his first time ever playing basketball. He has a whole NBA career. So he's done these things throughout his whole career, but he's never going to be like, the top defender, but he's an adequate, NBA defender. He's not awesome, but
right.
I mean, everything gets a little bit, stretched out too much with fans and stuff.
Chevion Production says tanking is a defeated mentality. Look at Miami. They never embraced tanking. They had a game plan from what this front office has done. It looks like they got a solid game plan. Oh, you got to give him a round of applause for that. That was great, Chevion Productions. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Joshua Rivera says the acquisition of Kemba is the moves that cost us this season. I wouldn't go that far. I don't think it helped us. But I wouldn't go that far. I don't think that was well, you know what? It's a big part of it because we still haven't solved the point guard position, and we had a lot of money in the offseason to do so. And we, went out to get Kemba Walker last minute. So, you might be onto something with that.
Right? Derrick Rose got hurt too, so that kind of threw a wrench in everything Tom Thibodeau wanted to do.
Yep. Let's do a couple more. Marcus Miller says RJ needs shooting by him. Evan isn't the issue. I like how Evan played this season more than Julius, to be honest. Okay, fair enough. And Hawkeye says, yeah, I'll keep Evan over Randall. I don't know who said Evan or Randall. I don't know where that's coming from. And let me salute the Tricky Nicky becoming a member of Let's Talk Knicks, a YouTube member of the MBK channel. Salute the Tricky Nicky. Salute to you. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. So, Eru, thank you for being on here, man. I know, like I said, we're going to do a short show. I just wanted to get on here for 45 minutes to an hour to break down some of this stuff. Let the people know where they can find you. Where can the people find you if they want to check out some dope Die Hard Knicks content?
Right there, Die Hard Knicks Podcast. Right there. See I got a jersey, Die Hard Eru and stuff. So just look for Die Hard Knicks Podcast. You'll find me on Instagram, Twitter, every social media. But me and State have a podcast. It's a shotgun podcast. We just do it. Yo, Evo, you want to do a pod? Yeah, let's do it. That's how we do it. So you can follow us, do that. Also, I do a halftime show from halftime to crunch time. So at the half
Yep.
of every show, I do a halftime report, and then I just basically do a stand-up comedy routine all the way to the crunch time, because watching the Knicks is stressful at this time. So I just spend most of the time just like telling jokes and like kind of just going on about my opinion and stuff. But there's a lot of other surprises too that I'm trying to work out just to grow the channel. Not as grand as the MBK channel, but hopefully I could be like the BCat version of MBK. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, you're alpha on this side, man. You want you alpha. You the straight up alpha dog. Now, everyone out there watching, thank you for tuning in. But if you look in the description of this video, I have a link to the Die Hard Knicks channel on YouTube. You can go in there, check out all his content that he got. Him and State. I think I got a couple episodes on there like from a while ago. That's why we're gonna cook something up, and me and State gonna do it. State, stop running for me. You can't run from me for too long. I'm coming to get you. I'm telling you, I'm coming to get you. Right? So expect me to be on Die Hard Knicks, on one of the upcoming shows, probably within the next week or so. And me and Steak are going to go at it. So definitely check out that link in the description of this video. Also have his Twitter. Eru's Twitter is also in the description of this video if you want to check out what he has to say on Twitter. Definitely give him a follow and definitely give him a like and subscribe to his channel as well. But Eru, thanks again for being on here, man. I really appreciate it. All the people watching out there in the chat, smash that like button and let me know how you feel in the comment section. If it's anything I said or Eru said that you agree or disagree with, if you think we're full of it, let us know. If you agree with us, let us know. I'm looking forward to seeing your comments in the chat. I always like interacting with you guys once the show's over. So Eru, once again, thanks again. And thank you to everyone out there watching the Kontroversy. I'll be back for another episode sometime next week. And let's get it going. Peace, ladies and gentlemen. See y'all later.